LollieTasking is multitasking the Lola way. Join my mommy and other amazing women as they have random girl talks and laughs, all while trying to live a balanced life. This is LollieTasking.
Welcome to another wonderful episode of LollieTasking. I am your host, Lola, and I am so excited that you have chosen to join us again today. Today's episode is amazing. I am so excited to introduce three of my closest friends that I've known for over 20 years. First is Dr. Foye, who is an emergency medicine doctor and owns her own ER practice and med spa. She is married and has 2 kids. Next is Dr. Modupe, who is a breast radiologist who's married to another physician, and they have 4 kids. And last but not the least is my dear friend Tony, who is a speech pathologist and helps run her husband's GI practice. I had a fantastic time with these ladies. We had some interesting conversation talking about how we balance our lives as mothers, wives, learning how to delegate, and how we still have time for ourselves after all that. This was an unplanned episode, and therefore I apologize for the background noise and the kids having fun around us. However, I thought what they said was very real, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. These are my girls. So I am actually sitting with my dear friends, Modupe. Modupe, why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
With my dear friend, Modupe Adeyefa. She's practicing. Modupe Adeyefa and Foye Kemi Ikiato. I also have another friend, Toyin Adeyefa, who's actually out there with her daughter at this point.
We're LollieTasking.
So... All right. So I actually, today's topic is a off-the-cuff topic. I wondered how we could have professional women, but still kind of have time to get it all together. Like have it all together, or at least pretend to have it all together. So, but like, I really just want to know, one, what are the challenges and what are some of the tricks? Like if you could pick one thing that you could say, this thing has helped me just kind of stay sane. You know, like what would it be? I'd like to start with you, for you, because it seems like you have one ready to pop out.
I think really taking time to know who you are, really assessing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Sometimes you see people who you may want to be an entrepreneur and you want to be the social media guru, you want to be the one doing the website, you want to also be the banker in the organization, and really figuring out what your strengths are and then teasing out how you are going to get the support in the areas that you're not strong in. And even if you are strong in some areas, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be the one that does it, because if you're doing everything, you're not going to be able to lead effectively because you're trying to do too much, and it's just one of you. Your brain can only handle so much responsibility. So really teasing out what your task is, whether it's children, finances, your business, I don't know, groceries, and ironing out what it's going to take for you to be successful. For me, I can't go to the grocery store. I order my food, they deliver it, and I've realized, you know, I'd rather pay that extra $10 or $20 for it to come here than taking an hour and spending time at the grocery store, because I only have so many hours in the day. And that's home. That's just one thing.
Right.
In business, I've realized I can't, you know, I have to delegate. I delegate, and by this date, please tell me what you've done so that we can move forward. But I can't do all of it. There's no point in me hiring staff and then coming and doing their jobs for them. So that's just one way I've really tried to figure out what I'm good at and what my strengths are so I can be more effective.
That is so perfect for you. I feel like that's something like we all need to learn. I always tell my friends that Superwoman does not exist. It exists in you, but you cannot be Superwoman doing everything. And I think that's where the fact that you're able to know what you can and cannot do. You know, yes, can you do all? Yes, but would you do it perfectly? Maybe not. So I totally agree. But what would you say to like some moms that maybe don't have that extra $10 to buy groceries? Like what advice would you give to them? Like we thank God we're blessed. We're able to do that. Like do you have any advice you can give other moms in respect to that. Maybe Dupe can take this one.
Okay, so you're asking me what can we do for people that cannot afford to get extra?
No. Okay, so Foya made a good point in that, like a lot of times we don't delegate.
Yes.
So, and one of the things she said is like, for example, instead of groceries, I just paid the extra $10 to buy groceries. And I said, I totally agree with that. Mm-hmm. However, there are some moms that don't have that extra $10. They may be single parents. Because, yes, a lot of people listening to this podcast are going to be
from all walks of life.
Professional women. However, there are also going to be single mothers from all walks of life. And you could be a professional woman and still be broke, you know? So, like, what advice would you give them? Like, what hack would you say they can do in balancing?
I think actually that's a really good question. I really like the idea of outsourcing, like Foya said. We can't do it all by ourselves. But I think one thing that's really helped me now actually is that I don't have any help. I'm just me with the kids and I work full time.
Wow.
So it's been a real shift since last month.
Who you tell me?
Last month. Last month. She said
All
since
my
last
life
year.
I had to fight.
Last month. It's been hard. You know what? It's like for the first time, like, oh my God, it's really hard to be like a full-time mom and like kind of like a full-time, child giver and everything. Yeah. But I think what has really helped is the fact that you have to be more intentional with how you spend your time. So in the morning before I used to have an extra hour to sleep in. Now I have to get an extra hour out. As I'm like, I get up early, I get myself ready, then get the kids ready, and then drop them off at school, go to work. So my time, every moment of my time is intentional doing something. And I always give myself a nice, wonderful break at the end of the day. When I put the kids to bed, don't come to my room, I close the door, and I just relax and enjoy myself. So that in itself kind of give me some sanity. And, I really enjoy catching up my Game of Thrones is my new favorite show now. So after all the kids are done, I get a glass of wine and my bed,
Speaking of
going back to Foya, yes.
Speaking of finances, I think we spend money on what is important to us. I see plenty of people who come in to clinic and or the ER, and they can't afford X, Y, and Z. And I don't fault anybody for what their finances are, but I still think at the end of the day, most of us spend our money on what's important to us. What's important to me is convenience. What's important to somebody else may be their hair or their nails or whatever. So if you actually allocate and look at how much you have, if it's a regular income, and how you can allocate those funds to what you need, I think you'll find that the things that are important to you, you will be able to find the funds for it.
That is so true for you. I have to get back to what Dupe mentioned about just having time for yourself. I feel like as mothers, we always forget about ourselves, and it's very important. I like that idea of taking that last 1 hour just to yourself. But do you know how you can get that? The kids got to go to bed by a certain time.
You have to be very structured.
So you have to be structured, and keep that structure.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That's perfect. So we have Mrs. Toya Adeyefa here too. She has not added. Is there anything you want to add to this conversation?
Everything has been said nice and well. I mean, the only thing that I would, they've mentioned it already, I feel. So I think you kind of picked it out of what Foya said first, which is, well, let's say you don't have the funds to do the HEB pickup, which is an extra $5 pickup. Or let's say you don't have the time to have your kids in school and have a nanny and have a car driver,
Right.
And then it goes to what Dupa said, which is that you just have to be very intentional about your time and have a schedule. And I know for me too, I was alone for like 7 months. Me and my husband and 3 kids, both working. So I just feel like having a schedule, not being afraid to ask for help from the local community.
That's a good idea from that one.
Important.
Yeah, I love what you said, because actually I was the speaker we're going to bring to our conference coming up. she talked about how, as a community, we could utilize people in our immediate circle. So, for example, a lot of time in the church, we say, married folks are over here, single folks are over here. But you know how many single folks could help and volunteer to be in a married woman's house to kind of just help babysit, and they're getting forced time. I'm telling you. And then as a married person,
I already know where you're going.
Oh, girl. Why you gonna say that?
I did not say it.
I didn't say your
The
vibe.
way you said it,
But then a married woman
house, stay it on the house.
But why does it have to be that way, though?
Well,
You're
no,
there.
yeah,
The husband is not there.
You have to use wisdom.
Use
Right,
wisdom.
right,
But you
right.
can help each other
Yeah,
out. You
yeah.
can find one person that,
the
a
overall
young
picture
girl,
is-
23 or whatever. I mean, you can afford to get.
She said 23. And Lola about to fall out. But I feel like what you're saying is like that's honestly what helped me is like just looking outside. I feel like when I was younger, just growing up here, you have your mom, you have your grandma, and let's just be real, they don't make grandmas the way they used to make grandmas. Okay,
They're glamour.
my grandma was all about us, my sisters and I, and there was something that she wouldn't do for us. No shade to my mommy. My mommy's awesome, but she's in the season where I want to live my best life.
Right.
So that means I'm not gonna come.
She's worked really hard.
She did
for a long time.
She did. So that it really just forces us to kind of step up, but also look around.
Check your resources.
And it doesn't actually mean that you have to spend more money.
Right.
You could just go to Michael's on Saturday mornings. They have free things for the kids to do from 9 to 12. You just have to physically get your kids together and go. So that's really helped me out through that plus, of course, staying with a budget, staying good with your time scheduling. And I want to go back to something that I don't know. I didn't hear the original question, but I know you were saying something about
basically how can you balance life, being a professional woman and having kids?
Right, and
and
I
what
feel
are
like
some
there's
things
also
you can
stages
advise
too.
people?
I feel like there's stages, and I feel like you have to
Right.
give yourself grace. So it's easy to say, well, outsource. You have to have money to outsource.
True,
So
exactly.
if you don't have money to have somebody do this, do that, give yourself the grace to maybe slack off on this. Maybe you picked up food for dinner 3 times this week and it wasn't a home cooked meal. Maybe you were at work super long today and you couldn't take your kids out, but on Saturday, give yourself grace to build up the money where you can outsource.
Right.
And then I have to make another note that you have to just really surround yourself with people
Mommy.
that will respect that. Because some people feel like this is the only way to do things, and that's cool for them. Mommy's talking, baby.
I want.
But at the end of the day, you have to just know
What works for you?
what works for you may not work for somebody else, and not be offended
Right.
when somebody else's opinion, and you can tell they're shading you, but they're trying not to shade you, but they're shading you. So I just feel like everyone has to do what works for them, and it may not be outsourcing.
Right.
It may be for right now. I'm gonna have to grind, and I'm in a season of hustling.
Right.
And I know it's kind of like when you have a new baby. I'm due soon. When you first have a baby, you're not gonna see anybody.
Exactly.
So you have to say no to the social hangout. Say no here. Say no there.
That's actually going to segue me to my next question I have for you.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and segue.
Go ahead, segue. All right. So we're with Toyi. Toyi is now pregnant with her 4th bouncy baby boy.
4th and final.
4th and final, she said, but we'll see.
She said baby something.
Baby boy,
I know. It sounded like you said with 4th and final baby girl.
No. Boy.
Oh, so are you claiming boy?
I'm claiming boy. She didn't tell anybody.
I'm sure she
I'm
knows.
claiming boy.
You know what she knows.
I do.
But
She gave a little surprise for herself.
so here's the thing. So I am turning a certain age. We're not going to tell everybody on this podcast what my age is, but I am a certain years young this week.
Yes.
And
That's good.
and to be honest, like I live in another city. A lot of my friends are not there. I do have people. I won't say I don't have friends there, but it's just not like my day one, right? And most people I talk to that's not my husband or my kids are people at work.
Right.
A lot of time. And I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, "Hey, all you do is go to work, come back, go to work, come back." So it takes me back to when you're busy. how do you intentionally make time for yourself? Because guess what? These kids, and I'm preaching to myself, mind you,
right.
These kids are going to grow up and they're going to have lives of their own, just like we have grown up and we do have lives of our own, you know? So that being said, you got to keep your own life going. So what are some things you can do in this busy life? Because yes, you going to work is important because you got to pay the bills.
Right.
Making sure your kids get straight A's is very important as a Nigerian. You know, there's so many things you want to do, right? So what are some intentional things you ladies do that kind of keep the social part of you going? Like, do you have a scheduled travel? Like, I travel every year at this time, or do you have a girls trip that you do with your girls? Like, just, you know, let's start with Modupe, because she's crashing her hand. I feel like she's jumping.
I'm thinking. I think I would say that, you know, first of all, I think as women, we run a risk usually of having our children be the focus of our lives. You know, as in, like, we want them to succeed. We love that they adore us. We want to be there for them. But at the same time, it is extremely exhausting sometimes. And I think for me, being a mother of a few kids, I come, you know, I every day, you know, I am exhausted because I'm hearing my name at least 100 times a minute, you know, mommy. And so it's exhausting. So for me, what I've come to realize is, like, I love them. They're my children, but they're God's children first. Right. So whatever I want, I know God wants something better for them. So I will try my best to be a good steward of them. That's pretty much, I'm a good steward, and that's it. So I don't put that pressure on myself that they must succeed the way I want them to succeed. And that has really helped me out significantly. I don't put a lot of pressure on myself. Like, I have 4 kids, and each one of them is very different. Each one of them has different skill sets. And so I can enforce what I want each one of those kids. So I think just learning that has freed me from mommy guilt. And the fact that,
like, perspective shift.
Yeah, my perspective, like, you know what, I don't have much control, really. I can control what I can, but I don't have that much control. And that's really helped me. And in that being said, I enjoy my life whenever I'm around my kids and whenever I'm not around them as well, too. So I still go to work. I put 100% at work when I'm at work. I do what I have to do. When I go home, I'm a mom. I do what I have to do. And I believe strongly that women should not lose themselves in motherhood.
Amen.
I feel like as a woman, we have more to us than just being a mom. That's just my perspective. I think that's almost biblical, too. We are more than just being mothers. Because, like you said, our kids will grow up and they will leave us.
Right.
So your marriage, you have to invest in your marriage. You have to still go out on dates with your husband. You have to go on vacation alone with your husband, because they will leave you. And it's going to be you and him left. And you're like, okay, what's left between us?
You need to learn it now.
You have to continue to grow along with your spouse, you know, and also for your kids, have the right perspective, okay? Their failure, you know, I know as much as it hurt for you, you know, you do the best you can as a parent. That's all you can do, is do your best and leave the rest to God. You know, I think that in itself has really helped me. And I think for now, I've grown as a mother and I've grown as an individual in the last couple of years. I don't believe I should lose myself and just being a mother alone.
I think one thing you said that stuck out to me is, even though we kind of knew it, but sometimes it's good to just voice it out. It's like, we are just stewards of our kids.
Yeah, we are.
Like, we try our best. As long as we're putting the best that we can, you know, and just leave the rest to God.
Exactly.
So
that has helped me significantly.
I think let me think about it. I mean, I've been thinking about it.
What are some things, like, even in Houston, right? So I think, like, okay, so for example, there's some things I think about, like, you guys maybe not intentional or unintentionally moved to Houston where you have that support. You guys might live an hour apart, but at least when it's all said and done, if you really want to see each other,
birthday, we can make it.
Right. So what do you say to people that don't have that option? Like, they don't live near anybody close.
They can move to Houston. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Well, I think what you can do. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
No, sure.
Yeah.
I think what you can do is create your own community. Like, okay, so I moved to Houston, and honestly, everybody else came afterwards. I didn't know anybody when I moved
Actually,
to
Talani
Houston.
came first. But...
Oh, you're right. Talani came. And she left me. She left me to some country over there in the Caribbean. But when I first moved, I didn't know anybody. So, like, you form a community. You find people that are similar and like-minded to you. So, for example, if you're a mom and you have 3 kids, you might want to find other moms that have 3 kids that believe the same values that you have, and then develop that community with those people and grow with those people. And before you know it, you start making different connections with different people, and you start to broaden that, area of your life. So, I mean, you may not have that option like we all have. I mean, I'm so happy. My whole sibling is all up in here. Everybody's all up in here. It's great life. You should totally move to Houston, like Tony said. But if you don't have that option, start to create your own community.
And then I also would give yourself grace. I'm really big on that. I think that has been like a thing for me since like 2017. I went through a really busy season where I kind of, I have to use the word, but I kind of, I don't want to say neglected my kids. I kind of sacrificed spending time with my kids to build what I have with my husband. And then once that was pretty stable, I was like, I'm going to just switch gears and kind of sacrifice that. And I can't really say sacrifice. We built it to a point where I could have a little bit more time with the kids. I know some people kind of were like, oh, you drop your kids off and you pick them up and you go to all their school activities. Well, that was important.
If you can.
That was important for me because I know what I went through the year prior where I was just gone. So I kind of just feel like give yourself grace to, this is third banana, give yourself grace in finding your community. And I think self-care is different for everybody. I know I have people that their idea of self-care is trips. I gotta go on a trip here, I gotta go on a trip here, I gotta go on a trip there, and that's great.
And mine is sleep.
That works for them. Some people's self-care is sleep.
Right.
My self-care is removing negative sources. Like if I have to talk about you for 15 minutes to my husband every week, we can't be talking every week. And I have to so I feel like just kind of find what works for you. If it's people, then kind of do like what Dupe is saying.
Right.
Find that niche at church. Find that niche on these mommy groups. Like find something like that you can connect with. Or if it's just being around like-minded people and taking yourself out of people's whose opinions are just negative and not, then just do that.
Aw, this is real love, right?
That is self-care. It's friendship care.
Yeah, the thing, I like the whole self-care. You should really figure out what makes you feel relaxed.
What makes you feel relaxed? Not what
sleep.
Not what society
yes.
thinks that you should feel
And
relaxed.
that's the truth. Take a time off either once a month and just rent a hotel and just go and sleep. Just go and sleep.
Yeah.
I love.
No, so actually, I got that idea from this girl. I actually met her on Facebook, but we became friends in Atlanta when I was still there. She told me about she takes a day a month out of her vacation day, just one day, and it's not a day when her child is at home.
I know that's right.
Okay. Her child is in school full time. She does not go to work. She drops her child off at daycare and she goes to the hotel. It's a day spa. She does a spa. She sleeps. She stays in a bathrobe. She does all that. Just once a month. And when it's 5 p.m., she leaves, checks out, and goes pick up her child. She says she feels so much relaxed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she says sometimes she just sits down and eat ice cream on the bed. Sometimes she does massages. It's whatever she's needing.
You see, that wouldn't work for me long term. For me, of course.
Right,
it works
right.
for people.
You got to know what works for you,
For me, I have to have more because then when you check out on that Friday, so you took that Friday off, when you check out and you drive home the 30 minutes to get back to your house is there. So you have to, I have to have more consistent thing. I have to have structure. I have to ask for help. I have to plan. I'm a planner.
Right.
I have to do those things. That to me.
So
is
it depends on why you're doing it. For her, it's more of a reset. It's like a personal reset because she works really hard as well, and she doesn't sleep, So it's a way of, I did this for me.
Right.
And for her also, it's like, it's always like my child.
It's more mental, emotional.
Right. Just like, yeah. And I think it's very important to know, I agree with you. You got to know what works for you.
For you.
So you got to know yourself first. Know what works for you and do whatever it is that works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question and then we're going to round this up. You guys have been fantastic. I was going to go to Foya and then she picks up her phone. All right. So the last one is, how do you guys keep the spice going with all these kids running around the house? Dupa kind of alluded to some of it, you know, but like dating your husband. But like, are you guys really intentional, or is it spontaneous how it was when you were dating? Like, what do you guys do? I just want to hear. Let's start with Foya.
What a fun question.
We should start with toying.
No.
She's got a fun answer.
No, actually, I don't. I just like to talk about my husband.
Well, we usually try to plan either Saturday or Sunday, and our thing is movies. So whatever new movie is out, that's our time to get away.
Do you go to the movies? You actually go to the movies?
Yeah, we'll go to the movies. We prefer places that have food already, so we don't have to necessarily plan that out.
Dinner and a movie,
basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely try to do once a week. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but usually through the month we make it like 2
once a week. That's good.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And the other thing that we do that I think has helped in our relationship is that because we work together, we try not to bring work home, so we really try to be intentional about not talking about work once we get home. Like, we hash it out on the way home, at work, but once you walk in, my husband is like, you know what, can this wait till the morning? And then we'll do it.
That's
we'll
fantastic.
talk in the morning about anything work related. So those are the rules that we have. It's hard to not do it, but yeah.
All right. It looks like you're itching to say something to me.
I'm actually not. I'm just relaxed with this banana.
Oh, please, Toy.
No,
I'm not.
I know.
It looks like you have a good answer.
Oh, well, thank you for the belief in me. I don't know if it's I think it's probably an area we can improve on, my husband and I. But I think I had the benefit because we work together full time, and then we live together.
Right.
So I'm constantly with him, which to me is like fun. Because before we started the practice, he was always at work, and I just would see him at home at night, which is, I know that's normal.
Do you feel like you understand him better because you're actually seeing the day to day?
You know what? I do understand him better because I used to give him a lot of grief about, I don't want to go see another movie. But with his like specialty,
right,
and with how busy he is on his feet legit for hours every day, scoping people.
Right.
So he wants to just go somewhere where he can just
relax.
Well, especially just kick his feet up, as opposed to like you know. So I feel just in general, there's probably an area that we can improve on. But I think also because we are around each other all day and we enjoy each other's company.
Right.
I feel like I'm like so lucky to just be able to have that kind of dynamic.
Aww. If you guys could see Tony talking, she's like smiling and cheesy.
Because my boo is so cute.
Aww.
No, but then I mean,
Did you say your favorite line yet?
Oh, tell me.
Your favorite line?
Yeah. What is it?
She'll be eating with me like a
Oh.
She'll be like, oh girl, I'm just so lucky to marry to this man.
No, I just love him. I think I said
I just love him. Oh my God.
I think I said I just thank God I'm married to him. And people always looking at me like, oh, Toya. I just looking at him eating his little salad. I'm like, oh, he is such a good man. So yeah, but I mean, what else do we do? Probably I don't want to say this on here because he won't want me to say it on here.
I can delete it.
But other people will hear it.
I don't know. Yeah, it depends on what it sounds like.
Maybe you should like put this offline first, and then we'll put it back on.
And we have been doing it since our wedding night.
Right.
So it's kind of been like our time to. That's kind of when we talk about that. I mean, that's really sometimes we don't have time to talk the entire day. Though we're together, like ship sailing in like the night, and then we like, okay, well, whenever we start at night, whenever we start at night. So that's when we have our whole like all our business meetings, all our discussions.
Okay.
When we shower. Are you going to shower? And he's like, don't be telling everybody we shower. I'm just like, oh.
What's the big deal?
Everybody does it. I think.
I know everybody doesn't do it because I shared it with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had another girl, and they thought you showered your ass, and I was like, you don't.
Why not?
But I mean, that's
everybody they probably do something you don't do, you know. So.
Right.
All right. But Duke Bear?
I think, my husband and I, like, we're like best of friends. So we talk literally every
time.
How do you know?
No, I'm just saying. I can.
Oh, we text from the beginning. I dropped the kids off at school. He knows like 7:00. Let me call. How the kids drop off go. We'll talk throughout the whole day. We'll text throughout the whole day. So I already know what kind of like his day was when I meet him. And then when we get home, we just talk a lot. We talk a lot.
Communication is very important.
We talk all the time. There's nothing that's like ever dropped usually that I don't know about, you know. So we're always in communication. So that definitely does help. And we used to go out a lot more often when we had somebody that was living with us, but now that we don't, that has not happened in the last month. Because I was like, oh girl. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't talk right now. I'm at the GOT. I can't talk right now. I'm so tired.
That is real life.
I mean, like, this would be really difficult for people.
Right.
But, in the past, we used to go out, like, we just go out to the movies on random days. And, we'll go to dinner a lot. And we'll still talk over there, too, as well. We take a lot of vacations together just by ourselves.
Right.
We plan that ahead of time without the kids.
So
that is a very beneficial part of our relationship. Like last trip was just so amazing. It was a good reset for us. So I think my thought process, like this man is like my best friend. We're gonna be in this forever, ever.
Right.
So we make a conscious effort to always be, to always grow the relationship.
Okay. All right.
There was something I wanted to add to that.
Okay.
When she was talking, I don't remember right now. Hold on, maybe it'll come back to me.
Communication.
Yeah, you said. Yeah, we're talking about communication. It was so good.
Intentional.
It was so good.
Those are buzzwords. Intentional communication when it comes to and keeping the spark. You said,
right.
And I don't think about it like keeping the spark, right? Because you work in that. Almost things.
I don't know if we answered your question because you talking about spark, and I'm like, well, I feel like our spark is like, to me, my husband he isn't the kind of person that's gonna leave me rose petals and dim the lights and draw like a bath. But he is the kind of person that will see that my gas is low, and when he comes in the house, because he has my key on his keychain, he'll cut back. Or because we park in the same parking deck, he'll see it, and he knows I'm not gonna leave till 3. So he'll come and he'll fill up my tank. Right. And I'll get, I'm like, oh, look at my baby fill my tank. That's very close.
Yeah.
He gonna get something like that. Daddy gonna get him a little something.
And I tell men all the time. Women, if you really want to get something, it's not at night.
No.
You start the foreplay starts at 8 a.m. in the morning. When you do little things like helping them comb the kids' hair, or even letting them sleep that extra 5 minutes, like those are the kind of things that you're like, you're looking more sexier.
Is that the dishwasher? Did you just run those dishes? Did you load it and then you ran it?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But I think so. I don't know about that's not sparks, but that's kind of how. That's just him, and he's just very much like.
I think spark to me is whatever you feel
kind of
keeps you going. I have come to realize that what the world thinks of as like being like the Western romanticization of love, like.
Right.
It's not really it. It's whatever you and your husband.
Everything, I feel like a consistent theme with your first LollieTask has been whatever works for you.
Exactly.
And I think for me, these last few years, I've had to really, I think Foya said it with the first answer, I really had to determine what works for me.
Right.
Because a lot of people have what works for them, and it may not be what works for me.
May not be.
And, mine may not be trips, mine may not be cars, mine may not be, whatever, or outsourcing, but whatever it is, whatever works for you, and then be confident in it. So.
And I think that's why I think this podcast is very important, and I wanted to get my friend's opinion, because I'm going to be talking to a lot of people that I've never met. I'm going to be talking to people that I don't know or I hear of. Right. But it's helpful to kind of hear what your friends are doing. Start with your friends. And this podcast, while, we're trying to give you what works for us, you gotta figure out exactly what works for you. Right. And sometimes it might take trying multiple different people's ideas before you find whatever works for you. Well, that's it, guys. This has been a fantastic podcast. It was an impromptu. Did you want to say something for you? It's been a fantastic conversation. I love these ladies. I've known you guys for over flipping. How many years now? Yeah, it's a flip. Yeah. 15 years? No, I've known you for more than 15 years.
2002.
I've known, since like 1999 or something.
Oh, wow.
So we've known each other for 20 years. So
when it became year 2000.
I remember that. Yeah, your mom was at work, my mom was at work. And we're like, what if the world ends and our parents are not home? So we stayed together that day. But anyway, it's been a fantastic podcast. I love you, ladies. Thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of LollieTasking. If you have any questions or any interesting topics you want for us to discuss, you could contact me on www.LollieTasking.com. On there, you'll also find our show notes, which includes various information specific to this episode and links to our various social media platforms. If you've liked what you've heard today, just go ahead and click that subscribe button, rate the show, and of course, share this wonderful podcast with your friends. Till next time, this is LollieTasking.